We stopped the previous video when you were trying to solve g of f of x, and you had, I assume, put the g outside, started with the g outside, and then instead of x, you put the equivalent of f, which is minus 4x plus 9. If you have done this, you would be solving something like this. Now, we're going to move to a little bit more complicated cases where you're not just asked to find the f of g of x, like the one inside the other, but you need to find, for example, the f of g of minus 1. So in this case, g of f of minus 1. In this case, that is, we have, instead of any x, specific value, which is minus 1. Sorry, I have a very small writing area. That's the point. So what happened in this case? I want you to write it as we always do. G of f of minus 1 equals, and then you start with the g outside, and you say with g outside, but that means you have to work with the f inside. So let's make it a little bit easier in this case. We start finding just plain f of minus 1. To do this, I would like you to substitute on this formula first, minus 1 every time you see x. So you go equals what? X minus 5. We said instead of x, you need to put minus 1. Okay. So in this case, that will be 6 times minus 1 will be minus 6 minus 5 equals minus 11. Now you know that your f of 1 is minus 11, and therefore you substitute and you go j of f of x. Sorry, it's very complicated. You need to remember exactly what to put. G of f of this technique doesn't work for me, isn't it? Let's start again. So you have to put g of f of minus 1. And now instead of f of minus 1, you put the equivalent, which is minus 11. So in other words, we have g of minus 11. So every time now you see the g function, you put minus 11 squared plus minus 11, which is 121 minus 11 equals 110. So this is how we go with this. How we are going to work in this case when you're asked to find f of 0. So we forget completely the g function in this case, and we work 2 times with f of 0. We start with the first one, 2 times the same one. So we say f of 0 equals 6 times 0 minus 5. And how do I do that? Because it was 6x minus 5, remember? Now, instead of x, I have 0. So 6 times x minus 5 equals, this is a big 0, equals minus 5. So my f of 0 is minus 5. Now, if I have f of 0, I have to put again f of minus 5. This is what I want to put. So I take again my nice formula, which is 6x minus 5. And instead of x, I put this value, the minus 5. So I go 6 minus 5, 6 times minus 5, minus 5, which will be something we know very well. This is minus 35, sorry, minus 30, minus 5, altogether equals minus 35. This is the example of the book. So we can go and practice in some more examples from the book again, but we will solve them together. So let me delete this and see how we go with this. The first one is f of g of x. F of g of x. So what's inside? The g. So I have to put what? This every time I see x here. So I'm going and writing the normal thingy. I'm writing 2 plus 3. This 2 disappears. And instead of x, I will put the equivalent here, 1 minus x. So I put here 1 minus x. So this becomes 2 minus 2x minus 3. The answer will be minus 2x minus 3 plus 2 will be minus 1. Come on, stay there. Doesn't like me. This is our answer. What happens in here? I would like you to have a go first, and we're going to do the remainder in the class. So in this case, you have to go g of f of x. So this g will be outside. So you will have 1 minus, instead of x, you need to put what? You need to put, I lost it. 1 minus x, and instead of x, you have to put 2x plus 3. 1 minus 2x plus 3. So that will become, go on and solve it. That's easy now. And then when we finish this, we will solve, somebody of you will solve that. So instead of having ax, we will put minus 3. Okay. What's inside? The G. So we will start with this G of 3 first. Okay, have it go.